All right. I mean, I don't know. Are we level enough to be just proceeding forth? Dante's here. Okay, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I'm wearing this t-shirt and it kind of makes me feel different. It's got side seams on it and rotations. Let's get into this. This video is going to be big, and you know, so is the impact that follows after. No joke. Anyway, blunt, bold, raw, and real as we do In the Image Clothing Company style. Today's the 9th of March, 2026. This video's title on the main side here of In the Image Clothing Company, one of our fourths, is the natural tongue position. Our slogan here on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company is allowing the body to work. Man, I look like I'm skin and bones, man. Very, very slender. There's only one way the human body could ever work, though. Yikes. Clothing, the only thing physically placed on us, you know, it has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. The thing is, we've got joints of body parts and joints of material meshing. We've got, you know, materials that didn't exist just tens of years ago from today's date. Unnatural, artificial, and synthetic. These are things made by human beings, but you can only make unnatural from natural things, and it always decomposes back to natural anyway. Things are only what they are. You know, truth is truth. The truth is, there's a neutral tongue position, or a natural tongue position, okay? Natural, neutral, and normal, just like the wind noise. It's a normal thing. Naturally just occurs, you know. But it's noisy where it is, I get it, okay? The tongue has a natural position. Everything in the body has a natural position, a neutral position, a normal position, a centered position. Think about it like this, Earth's gravity. We have Earth's gravity that pulls down on us vertically. Earth has a vertical gravity pull that meshes with this perpendicular angle to its horizontal surface, okay? The vertical pull of gravity never changes. The horizontal surface to the Earth, well, you can go up from there or you can go down from there, but only up or down from the neutral, which is the surface of the planet Earth. So when we discuss how the human body works here under In the Image Clothing Company, because that's a big part of what we do, holy cow, discussing the anatomy of the human body in depth and just how it functions, there truly is only one way the human body could ever work. Okay, that's what I'm saying. The human body is just mechanics. A video here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Dante filmed with me. Okay, my standard poodle here who's laying in the dirt. I normally have a towel for him, but not right now. We walked over here. We have bones that are only the shape that they are. They're only the length that they are, and they connect directly to each other through ligaments, okay? We've got cartilage, which is a thin layer of cushioning between the bones so the bones don't wear out. We've got muscles that connect to bones through tendons, and they only pull, even in what seems like a push. We've just got opposing muscles on each side of a function pulling to close, or on the opposite side, an opposing muscle group, if you will, in this case of the elbow, pulls to extend the elbow. We don't push as a human being, we pull muscles to extend hinges. The human body is just mechanics. It's rotations, it's hinges and levers, and it's just operation to take us across the earth. As I say, the human body is just a mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space that is our Earth. It only does what it does. So there's a neutral to everything. We either lean left from the neutral, standing straight up, meshing with Earth's vertical gravity pull that doesn't change, or we lean right from the neutral, standing straight up, with Earth's vertical gravity pull that never changes. And the wind noise, the winds of change, if you will, we lean forward or we lean back, okay, but only from the neutral. There's a neutral to everything in the body. So we discussed this thoroughly under In the Image Clothing Company. And the thing is, clothing's physically placed on us. The airplanes fly overhead and noise comes as they do, you know, through the microphone. And you can hear it through the video. I get it. Date marked, okay, though, is the point. Congruency, our insurance policy, we're just documenting information. This is what we do under In the Image Clothing Company with allowing the body to work. It's the only end. Okay. We're designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ. We're a clothing company because it's not just what you think of as clothing normally. The word clothing It's the same way that God clothes the fields with grass. Anything placed onto our bodies is clothing our bodies. We talk about, you know, anything, and it's clothing, right? Glasses, jewelry. And then we've got the other things, hats, pants, shoes, and socks, undergarments, tops of any kind, you know. These things are more obvious, if you will, clothing items, but anything placed onto the body is clothing it with something. And our bones just have to mesh in line, or else they just don't. The body only works how it does, or else it just doesn't. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work. It's in its neutral positions. In all senses of everything in the body, there's a neutral to it. So the tongue is no different. The natural tongue position. We've got videos here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company discussing things in their natural positions, things in their neutral positions. Videos like these. Here's some titles of videos under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company with similar titlings for similar reasons. Keeping elbows at the natural waist. Okay. The neutral head position. That's what I'll reference for now. We've got a lot of videos, over 470 something videos on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company alone as of today's date, the 9th of March, 2026. But the point with the natural and neutral and normal is it's between everything else. You look at the wrist, man, the wind noise. The wrist can come up only from the neutral, or the wrist can go down only from the neutral. The elbow can come up only from the neutral, it can go down only from the neutral. The elbow is the shoulder connected through the immovable bone of the upper arm bone. It's the shoulder on the upper end and the elbow on the lower end. Our bodies, like I'm saying, we lean forward, we lean back, we lean left, we lean right. There's a neutral. There's a neutral to the head position. There's a neutral to the feet. It's the surface of the earth. Or the term zero drop in any brand of shoe. Our feet can then come up, dorsiflexion, or they can go down, plantar flexion. But there's a neutral. There's a neutral to the pelvis, okay? We've got posterior rotation tucking underneath us, or we've got anterior rotation rotating away from us and the way the hips already bend, okay? So we have a neutral to the body in all senses of everything that there is in it. Here's a couple more videos under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, titles of them, about neutral things. The natural bend in the knee, a video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, and the natural curve in the spine, another video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. The body can only do what it can do. We have this vertical pull to gravity and this horizontal surface to the earth, this perpendicular 90-degree right angle, and the body has opposing bends. There's no way you can possibly ever train the human being to get it to do anything. It's been the same since always. Designed in the image of God, God had to first look like us to be able to even word it as designing us in his image. And another name for God is the truth. The same yesterday, today, and forever. The truth never changes. And the human body only does what it does, and it can never change. Okay? It's just mechanics. Okay? Physics, mathematics, angles of things. This is how the body works. The body has opposing bends from the base to the top. Well, yeah, when we keep our arms down at our sides and we're just standing. Watch this. Okay, even mathematical opposing bends to stay vertical on Earth's vertical gravity pull. The ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the lower back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, the upper back, which is called the cervical spine, it's really just the neck, bends forward. It's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. You have to have an even mathematical opposing bend to stay vertical on Earth's gravity. It's impossible to train posture. It always has been. You'll never get enough of what's not for you. You can train your body all you want, but once you stop trying to get your body to do something besides it's only normal, the human body always goes back to what we phrase as that. That's what it is. The human body's only normal. There's only a normal to everything. Natural, neutral, and normal, synonyms. There's only one way the human body could ever work. But this is the thing. We get into patterning, clothing, oversized clothing placed onto our bodies. Any kind of imbalances in clothing, like this, rotated seams, collar seams, zippers, buttons, ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces or drawstrings, anything tied on or around the body with one side over the other. Well, we live in a right-handed world. 85%, give or take, of human beings are right-handed. We get into patterning. Our bodies get into what we label as chronic patterning, where scar tissue builds up in the body, and bone spurs do as well, because we're trying to work around things physically placed on us. As I say, clothing is truly the only fix to human beings' physical problems. No sales pitch. We don't even have clothing available yet under In The Image Clothing Company as of today's date, the 9th of March, 2026. We will. You know, staying centered, fitting correct, being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials to not alter the body. But we give a lot of free modifications in clothing because things like In The Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, In The Image Clothing Company's zipper modification. Well, it's titled In The Image Clothing Company's pant zipper modification. But anyway, in case you thought I was just, exaggerating about how blunt, bold, raw, and real we are, let's just adjust the camera multiple times throughout the video because it's about the information in it. Good boy, Dante. There's only one way the human body could ever work, all right? A phrase that I could never wear out as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, in this for life to lead it. Every body has one. Everyone has a body. It's all the same. There's a universal human design. You can have a difference, amputation, deformity, major surgery, or birth defect, anything like this that alters your body slightly. You can only be different from something, right? Which is the universal human design. And that's okay. We've got our own individualistic situations, but the human body only works activated as a whole. Everything's there with its own individual role to play. No compensation can be had from something trying to make up a role that something else does because they play different functions. And so the tongue has a neutral position. We talk about the jaw so often here under In The Image Clothing Company, and we put a lot of focus on the jaw because the jaw stabilizes our entire body. We have a center line to our bodies as human beings that meshes with Earth's center of gravity. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. This jaw of ours stabilizes the entire body. We've got musculature from the jaw, the lower jawbone here, the mandible, where our lower teeth connect into, down on the bottom, okay? The musculature comes up into our cheekbones. It comes up into the crown of our head, almost to the top of our head on the sides, above our ears. Musculature that comes from the lower jawbone down into the neck and some of these upper ribs, musculature that comes from the lower jawbone called the mandible, right, to the shoulders. So we've got these two focuses that are huge under In The Image Clothing Company for both human beings here on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, and then for our dogs as well, over on another fourth of In The Image Clothing Company titled In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, but we give information on what we say as letting dogs stay natural that applies to all dogs and really a lot of animals as well across the earth. Any of our information that would apply to any other animal, there you go. But the same things we discuss on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here for human beings, we discuss on In The Image Clothing Company Poodles. Not just clothing and having it sit on our bodies in ways that it won't alter our bodies, because that's the case for the dogs. Collars, leashes, harnesses, slip leads, bandanas, anything placed onto a dog is clothing the dog with something, right? Just the literal wording. Yeah, but we talk about eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything we do for human beings and for dogs, any animals that our information would apply to under In The Image Clothing Company. And two of the big phrases we focus on, a couple of things that we put a lot of focus on. I mean, there's a lot that we discuss, certainly, but these are huge. Keeping collars centered and the importance of snug collars. There are two videos here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, but we've got seams in our collars of our tops where we do. That's where In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification comes in, to just do what we can to keep the circular nature of the circumference of our neck there. When we place a collar around it, this is the same for the dogs on In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, because we've got even opposing musculature from the center line of our bodies at our neck, in our spine, and the jaw is the shoulder. Is another video's title under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. Watch my shoulders connect to my jaw. They're already doing it, but watch when I move my jaw, you can see tendons and musculature going from my lower jawbone clear out to the edges of my shoulders, and it moves the collar of my top. So yes, we're a clothing company, but only to get to the functionality of the human being. Watch this, keeping collars centered and the importance of snug collars. Check this out. Look at the collar of my top move just when I move my jaw back and forth. and really activate the musculature going from my jaw to the edge of my shoulder. Okay, I know there's some shadowing from the sun here, but you can see it. I can see it in the monitor here. Okay, I do this often as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company under what we do so much of, which is the gift of video. I call it a gift because we've always done so much under video and always will under all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. That's a huge part of what we are as our company, is just videos. The videos we make, the information we deliver like this, and that will always be the case. You know, in addition to all the other things we do, video is a huge focus under In the Image Clothing Company because you can see this. I can explain it to you, but you can also watch things happen as I'm showing how my body works, you know, speaking out of personal experience. So the tongue is where we're getting to, right? The tongue's neutral position. Well, how's that going to happen, and where's the tongue coming from? What is the tongue? I like to ask questions on what are things, you know? We've got a video titled What Yawning Really Is under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here. You know, it's just a physical thing of moving the lower jawbone, and I discussed a lot of why it's happening, because it's not what people normally think. It's just a mechanical operation of hinging the lower jawbone, and there's a lot that goes into it mechanically in the body. Why we would even yawn and how it would benefit us, or why we think it's benefiting us, okay? Things like what neck pain really is. A video here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. We have to know first what really is the neck, you know? So I like to ask these questions because what really is the tongue of the human being? Where does the tongue connect into? Where does the tongue stem from? And how is the tongue working? And what does the tongue really do? So we talk about the jaw so often under In the Image Clothing Company. The tongue connects directly to the jaw. The tongue sits within this lower jawbone called the mandible. The lower jawbone starts right in front of our ears. It comes down and forward to our chin, right? That's the lower jawbone. It's where our lower teeth are connected into, like I said. And the tongue sits within that lower jawbone, and the musculature of the tongue connects to that lower jawbone in the front of the tongue, which is right behind the front of our chin here, and then also to either side, both the left and the right of the lower jawbone, there's insertions of the musculature of the tongue to that lower jawbone called the mandible. So, yeah, muscles connect to bones through tendons. They're called insertions, okay? So the human body only pulls. We have to remember this. It's a video's title under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. It's the only way the body moves. The body has its skeletal system, all the bones just connected through ligaments, and they're just already there. And then we get muscles kind of pieced onto the skeletal system to be able to move the skeletal system. So muscles are a secondary thing to the bones because they're connecting to the bones. The bones already have to be there and in their only working position, just the only way the shape of the bones can mesh together, okay? So the tongue connects to the lower jawbone, so we have to focus on the jaw to get to the tongue's natural position, okay? The natural tongue position is determined by the jaw. The jaw connects to the crown of the head, it connects to the shoulders, it connects to some of these upper ribs, it connects into the cheekbone and the skull, and there you go, okay? So, videos under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company here talking about the human being's jaw are titled these. Here's some at least. The importance of even jaw musculature, the importance of the corners of the mouth, being gentle with the mouth. It's actually titled The Importance of Being Gentle with the Mouth. The importance of small utensils. The importance of eating and drinking with the left hand. Really just meaning non-dominant hand. In this right-handed world, we need to use both sides of our bodies because there's two sides to our bodies. There's a video under In the Image Clothing Company's main site, by the way, titled You Can't Be Ambidextrous in Imbalanced Clothing. Okay, but the jaw. The jaw is the shoulder. Okay, the importance of a strong jaw. More videos here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company about the jaw of the human being. And if there's more that I can reference, but there's some good context, okay? At least, if I don't say more in this video about that. Other videos you can go find about the jaw under In the Image Clothing Company's main site. The jaw has a neutral position, okay? And the thing is, the whole body's connected, okay? So we can't focus on trying to get our tongue to be in a position that our feet aren't in. We can't focus on trying to get our tongue to be in a position that our hands aren't in, okay? We have to have things like this, no joke. The importance of the same size hands, a video here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company, you know, and we've got so many videos discussing the feet under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here I could reference. The point is, through the entire body, with the jaw stabilizing the entire body, well, the feet are as well on the other end. You know, we could say when we're standing up, the jaw is just about the highest point of the body with our arms down at our sides. Okay, if we lift our arms above our head, then our fingertips are actually the other end of our bodies from our toe tips. But the feet are the bottom end of the body, if you've got them, okay? On Earth's gravity, traveling from bottom to top, the feet oppose the center line of the human being and they grip arches inward, okay? And that's how we stay vertical. We've got different length toes, we've got arches in the feet, you know, a foot tripod, we've got dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, internal rotation, external rotation, pronation, and supination in the feet. There's a lot going on in the feet before we ever travel up to the jaw, because then the jaw stabilizes the entire body, but part of the way it does that is through the tongue, because the jaw stabilizes the entire body through its musculature, but some of the musculature of the jaw is the tongue. The natural tongue position, okay? Where is it? Let me tell you. Don't let me tell you something. As I say, don't believe me. Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Don't believe In The Image Clothing Company's team members, any of them with any of our information, including our poodles, right? Under In The Image Clothing Company poodles. Just don't believe us. Truth is truth. Truth is apart from all of us. Truth is something we don't get to decide or change as human beings. Truth is truth. Okay? But there's a natural position the tongue sits in. There's a neutral position for the tongue that it would just normally be in. There you go. Natural, neutral, and normal. Synonyms within the human body's functioning. The functioning of the dogs as well, right? If we never altered the body, God designed the human being to work. But we live in this modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. And we just have a lot of things that are altering our bodies. A lot of unnatural materials that are in our clothing. Only tens of years ago from today's date, the 9th of March 2026, did they start doing that. But things we just interact with in life, there's a lot of unnatural things, inventions of human beings that are damaging our bodies because our bodies are only natural. We're only what we eat. We're pulled from the clay, as it says in the Holy Bible. We're literally only what we eat. That's how you've gone from being a baby to being a full-grown adult. If you have, you've become the food that you've eaten, or the food becomes you. Anyway. There's always a natural, okay? There's always a neutral, and things are just normally how they are, you know, until we alter them if we do as human beings. Ideally, we don't alter things from their natural state. The tongue's natural position. Well, if the body was just allowed to work unaltered, the tongue would just have its natural position that it would stay in, okay? Just so we can stay standing vertical on Earth's gravity. The tongue within the lower jawbone, stabilizing our whole bodies, okay? We don't want our teeth to touch unless we're chewing. The teeth of the human being should basically never touch together, just in regular life, even sleeping. Because in order for us to stabilize our bodies through our jaw, the musculature has to have room to move. It's range of motion, if you will. Full range of motion. A video here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. The jaw can move left or right or forward or back, you know, open or close. When the jaw closes, though, it's opposing Earth's gravity, by the way. It's coming up. So oversized clothing pulling down on your shoulders, here's some context, pulls down on your jaw because your jaw is your shoulder, directly connected. Okay? So to close our jaw, we have to have our clothing fit. Like I say, it's no sales pitch, it's just the truth. But then we'll also sell good clothing just so the bodies don't get altered. You know, but you can also just use our free modifications under In The Image Clothing Company to allow your body to work, like I've done here with this top that has rotated seams and a dreaded collar seam. You know, it's not so ideal, but it's so much better modified like this, you know. Anyway, what I'm saying is the tongue should sound like that. where you can, how you can know where the natural position of your tongue is if it can make that sound. If you're just doing things normally in life and you can just be in the position you were already in and your tongue can just seal to the roof of your mouth, there you go. The tongue shouldn't touch the front teeth, okay? Because the teeth shouldn't touch each other either, unless we're chewing. We need to stabilize through all the musculature surrounding the jaw, connecting it to the shoulders, connecting it to the ribs, connecting it to the skull of the human being. All this musculature needs to have, its motion, and if the teeth are touching together, the jaw's just in a fixed position. And no stabilization can be happening through the musculature if the musculature doesn't have, room to move, more left from the center or more right from the center, more forward from the center, more back from the center, open more or closing closer to touching the teeth together. Okay, from its neutral position, resting, the jaw is in a position where the teeth are slightly parted and the lips can be slightly parted because our tongue is actually what seals our throat. Okay, the human body is a sealed thing. It's waterproof, right? The epidermis, a video here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company is titled that, the epidermis. It's the skin of the body. It's an organ. Okay, Dante was in that video as well. My first of many, by the way, standard poodles. We'll do a lot with poodles as time progresses. We already do, but even more. I'll discuss it if I do in this video, but there's a lot of context where there is under In the Image Clothing Company, and specifically In the Image Clothing Company poodle is one of our forts, okay? The jaw stabilizing the entire body. Well, our mouth can be parted open at the teeth and at the lips. They can be slightly separated. And our tongue seals our throat, okay? The whole body's sealed by the skin is why I was saying that. But then the mouth, even if it's open a little bit, can be sealed by the tongue. That's that sound you can hear there. When the tongue has this nice, wow, this is a big point. That's why it's tripping me up, because this is the really big point. The tongue has this nice, light, natural suction to the roof of the mouth. And like I'm saying, our jaw is our shoulders, just directly connected. That's where stabilization is coming from in the jaw is, well, part of it is from the shoulders, okay? Like imagine I'm really exerting a lot of force here to hold something stable, and my whole body's musculature is really working. Watch all the muscles in my neck and the muscles from my jaw down to my shoulders really activate, right? But I do that with my teeth parted, and I do it with my lips parted right? Just meaning it's the musculature that holds the jaw in place. The teeth shouldn't be touching naturally in daily life, waking or sleeping, so that the jaw can stabilize the entire body. The tongue, though, is a very strong muscle. The tongue's a very strong muscle. And the tongue is connected in the areas I was saying, in the lower jawbone, to the front of the lower jawbone and on either side of the lower jawbone. But the tongue's also connected down into the neck and up into kind of like at the base of the skull, like up in more in the center of our skull, like in the back of our mouth, right? I mean, just picture you can pull your tongue in any direction. You can pull your tongue. This is how you can see where your tongue's musculature is inserting. Muscles in the body only pull. So if we can stick our tongue forward out of our mouth, yikes, don't, right? Keep your tongue in your mouth. I'll discuss that more thoroughly because you need to stabilize things like your feet and your hands. Yes, from your tongue, truly. This is how the body just naturally works if it's not altered. Okay, the tongue needs to stay in the mouth. And we'll discuss it, but we're also kind of losing light. I mean, I'll just go as long as I go, and it is what it is. This video, it's blunt, bold, raw, and real. That's what I'm saying. The information's in this, though. It's amazing to document the information is what I'm saying. It's wonderful to be able to do this. I speak it once and I'm done, really. I mean, you can get what I've said from this, and I would never actually have to say it again. I can just reference people to this video. That's why I'm doing this. Okay, one of the reasons. There's a lot of beautiful reasons. I call it the gift of video. Okay. In the Image Clothing Company. Check this out. Anywhere you can move your tongue to, well, muscles only pull. So the tongue has to have an insertion to a bone anywhere that it can move to, right? Muscles connecting two bones through tendons. So there's a muscle, and then there's a tendon, and then there's a bone. The tendon connecting the muscle to the bone is called an insertion, right? Where the muscle inserts to the bone. So insertions of muscles in the tongue have to be anywhere you can pull the tongue to, because the tongue's got to grab onto something or insert to something, which is a bone. In the case of muscles, right, they insert to bones to be able to pull to the bone. So the tongue coming out of our mouth, we're actually pulling forward from the muscle of the tongue connecting to the front of that lower jawbone, on the inside of that lower jawbone at our chin, okay, right behind our lower teeth. We can pull the tongue back because, like I'm saying, it inserts up, clear up back here, kind of in the base of the skull area, in a place I can't really point to, right, inside of our head and neck structure back there. But the tongue, you can pull it down into the lower part of your mouth, like below your lower jawbone, really, you know, meaning just down farther into the area of your lower jawbone, right, because it connects down into the neck. We can pull the tongue to the left because it connects to the left side of the lower jawbone, and we can pull the tongue to the right because it connects to the right side of the lower jawbone. So this is what I mean. There's a natural position to the tongue, a neutral, in between all these areas that it could pull to. We don't push our tongues out of our mouth. It's just connecting to the front of that lower jawbone. Keep your tongue in your mouth. I'll discuss it. It's a real mechanical importance is what I'm saying. You know, not just so you don't stick your tongue out, but, you know, just because maybe someone tells you not to. There's a lot of reason as to why mechanically, like I'm saying, seriously, to stabilize your feet, to keep your core active, to keep your spine in a neutral position, to keep the natural bend in your knee, your feet arches activated, your shoulders in a neutral position. You know, we have to keep our tongues in our mouth, and that's what I'm saying is, where's that neutral then? Where's that neutral position between all the ways the tongue could pull in to move? Well, it's right behind our upper teeth. The tongue, just like the lower jawbone, has to lift. Opposing Earth's gravity, just because if we don't oppose Earth's gravity's pull down on us, we'll just fall down onto the planet Earth, you know. So our bodies have to work, and truly, this is what I mean. We're a clothing company. You place something onto your body, and gravity has the same effect on anything you place onto your body to clothe it with as it does on your body. So anything heavy or oversized or just imbalanced, gravity is just going to pull down on our clothing and change our body's positioning, and then that's how we get into chronic patterning, which is really what we do here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Is we get out of this chronic patterning that gets created. And there's a video titled "It Took Me 2 Years," spoken by me and filmed by me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, in this for life to lead it. Just meaning I'm not just founding this and leaving. I'm doing this for my entire life, you know, helping people with their bodies. The only thing that we have, okay? An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Another one of our fourths where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. You don't have to be religious or believe in anything, but we're all human beings, the same thing, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. There's only one way the human body could ever work, okay? We're on episode 204 as of today's date of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. It's just deep insights on life. I'm just yelling over the airplane, okay? Anyway, yikes. Yeah, so the tongue, it just has to come up, you know, to meet, this is the point, you know, the roof of the mouth. We've got the, man, check this out. Good stuff, huh? We've got the roof of the mouth, which is where the tongue suctions to seal the throat. But the roof of the mouth, what is it? You know, I like to ask the question, what is it? What are things? Well, things are only what they are. The roof of the mouth is just the skull of the human being. It's just the skull. Okay? With a little layer of flesh over it inside of the upper teeth bed. Okay, that's the roof of the mouth. And what we have there is this shape that's just the proper shape for the tongue to do this in its neutral position, you know, suction to the roof of the mouth. So the tongue naturally sits right behind those upper teeth, and it doesn't touch those upper teeth. The tongue doesn't touch the lower teeth naturally either, just like resting, because it's got to be free moving. It's just like the jaw. Our teeth don't touch together naturally, just resting, because the jaw needs motion to stabilize through its musculature. And if the teeth are touching together, it takes away the ability for the motion to be there. If the tongue is touching the teeth, either the top teeth or the lower teeth, then it's not just free in there, stabilizing in the center with the ability for motion on all sides. So the natural tongue position, it does come from the feet, it comes from the hips, it comes from the hands, all the way in. Before we can ever address the tongue, we have to address our entire body. Really, okay? If we never altered our bodies, the human body is designed by God to work. And so it just would, is the point, right? Getting out of chronic patterning. We're never telling you to do anything under In the Image Clothing Company, like try to train your body to do something just for it to go back to its only normal after you stop trying to train it to do something it doesn't do. You know, you gain excess muscle mass in the gym and it just goes away once you stop trying to gain it back to the body's only normal. There's only a normal to the body, always, only and ever. You go to the doctor because your body maybe isn't acting normal. You're trying to get it back to normal. You're not trying to make it excessively great. It's already just only what it is, and it'll never be anything else. Just like the tongue. You'll never get the tongue to be in a different position. You'll never train out of what they could call a tongue thrust. No, it's impossible. It's just a position in the center of all the areas that tongue connects to bone in, on all the sides that it can move. No opinion. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work. But it works together or it doesn't. You know, the entire thing has to work together, or it doesn't work very well at all. It's just struggling in a constant state of compensation. That's what your tongue's doing, is compensating for your shoulder musculature when it's not in its natural position. You know, if your shoulders aren't able to be, or if your spine's altered from pant waistlines or shoes, I'm not joking. It's not a sales pitch. It's not an approach. It's a human body that only does what it does, and we place things onto it to clothe it with. It's not anything you got to care about, you know, but it's truth. Meaning you don't have to even care to try to care about clothing. It's affecting you. It's the only thing physically placed on your body. So the tongue's natural position, well, you'll be very dehydrated. If your tongue can't naturally seal against the roof of your mouth, okay, you're just gonna have an open pathway down your throat with your mouth hanging open. In life. But remember, this is coming from the shoulders. They're pulling down on the jaw because it's connected to them, or it's coming from your feet arches being collapsed, you know, and things like incorrect shoelacing. In the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique, it's the other half. We talked about the neutral to the feet, the surface of the planet Earth, or the term zero drop in any brand of shoe. That just means flat on the bottom. Well, the sole of the shoe is the bottom of the foot, plantar flexing, but the top of the foot's half of its function, dorsiflexing. Okay, so lifting the toes up, that's determined by the top of the shoe, and we're just weaving ropes across the top of our feet. We call them shoelaces. It's nothing to do with us, but we just label it In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, the only way the top of the feet are shaped. Okay, there you go. Airplane noise, okay? Airplane noise is being heard by me, you know, so you could probably hear that as well, you know, if you're watching this video and listening to it also through what the microphone has picked up as I've recorded what I have here on the 6th of March 2026 plus 4 more days. It's actually the 9th. 7, 8, 9. Okay, so it would be plus 3 days from 6 to get to 9. Okay, here's the thing. The tongue, yeah, it's affected by everything down to the feet, you know, or out to the hands. So removing all tags from clothing, in addition to what I just said in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, these are our 2 prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company, just to not alter the body. You know, additionally to when we discuss where clothing sits naturally, clothing is just sitting on our bodies. We've got joints of material meshing with joints of body parts. You could say seams of material meshing with seams of body parts, just so that they can work. You know, the parts of the body parts. Yeah, the tongue. Anyway, there's only one way the human body could ever work. Tags in clothing just didn't even exist tens of years back from today's date, the 9th of March, 2026, because unnatural materials got invented, and then our clothing started to be made out of these things, and so they had to label it to let you know what you're placing onto your body, because it can poison our bodies through the skin. Like we were saying, the epidermis, we've got these holes in our skin called pores where the sweat or perspiration comes out. Things can also go in. You can put a cream on top of your skin, a topical cream, with the intent to heal the inside of your body. Well, clothing does the same thing as far as it seeps into the body, and so if it's made out of damaging materials to the body, it's damaging the body. Man, these airplanes. Man. These things are poison for the body. Unnatural materials made out of, you know, clothing made out of unnatural materials. They're blends of oil, okay, polyester, poly blends, oil blends, plastics, you know, plastics made from oil, pumped from the earth, refined, poisonous to the human being. Clothing's made out of it in modern day. Okay, so stretch comes with these unnatural materials and blends of fabric a lot of the time in modern day. Stretch just didn't even happen tens of years ago from today's date in clothing. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way the muscles work of the body. Muscle fibers fire. It's a literal electrical system of the brain sending, you know, electrical pulses to the muscle fibers, and they get closer together. Muscles only contract, they only pull. We've just got opposing muscles, right, in what seems like a push, like I was saying at the beginning of this video. And so no stretch in clothing. That's why we say 100% natural materials. It's no opinion. There's only one way the body works, though. Okay, contracting closer together with the musculature. And so no stretching, because your tongue's not going to be able to be in its natural position if you've got clothing that's stretching, like a top that you're wearing, changing the position, well, not even just changing the position because maybe it fits you properly, but it's just made out of unnatural materials, like a top clothing item you're wearing. Well, it'll just change the way your muscles can activate, because they're trying to stabilize against stretch, pulling away, and the muscles are trying to pull together. It's just the exact opposite position of you know, I mean, yeah. Talk about being physically fatigued, you know, you're just fighting your clothing all day, truly. There's no opinion to it. Okay? Universal truth, unchanging, and definitely not my decisions. That's what truth is. It's nothing that we could decide as human beings. Yeah, and it doesn't change ever. Okay, it's always been the same. It always will. His name is Jesus Christ, the truth. Don't believe me, please. Okay, but this is the point with the tongue. It's got to stay in its neutral position. Okay, so what I was saying about don't stick your tongue out is don't. You know, a lot of people have their tongues out of their mouth a lot of the time in life. When they're eating, or they'll make faces and stick their tongue out. Yeah, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm telling you there's a neutral position to your tongue, and it has to come back. Because as your tongue comes back into your mouth farther, it straightens your spine. Okay, it straightens your spine all the way down to your feet, all the way out to your fingertips. It allows your feet arches to grip, okay, in and back with our different length 5 toes. We roll evenly off the ends of our 5 different length toes, okay, different length toes. A video here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company we filmed just a few days ago, Dante and I, just right over here. Anyway, there's only one way the human body could ever work. The tongue, though, is a big player in the entire body, just as the jaw is. They're the same thing. The ears, okay? We've got videos here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled these titles here, okay? About the ears of the human being. The importance of not pushing or pulling on the ears. The importance of even ears. The natural earlobe position. Okay? Because the ears are the jaw. Just like the jaw is the shoulder, directly connected, well, the ears are just this hole between the lower jawbone, the mandible, which we're discussing quite a bit in this video, where the tongue connects into, right? The lower jawbone. It's like this U-shaped bone, okay? At the lower part of it here, where the lower teeth mesh into, right behind the lower jawbone is the ear, okay? Wow, yikes. It's just a hole for us to receive sound waves into, to hear things, okay? The sense of sound. Sensory activation in the body. A video here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. Yeah. Well, the lower jawbone has to be able to come back for us to stand vertical, okay? For us to straighten our spine, for this lower jawbone to come and mesh with this muscle called the sternocleidomastoid, and it's right behind that jawbone, coming from the sternum in the center line of the body, and the clavicle, or the collarbone, which connects at the top of the sternum, comes up and out and becomes one of the 3 bones of the shoulder. But this sternocleidomastoid muscle comes up and it barely clears that lower jawbone right behind it, and then it comes up and connects right behind the ears to the mastoid of the skull, okay, right behind the ears. And so there's a lot going on with the positioning of the head. I discussed a lot of this in that video titled the neutral head position under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here. There's a video titled Looking Down Opposes Bad Posture. Unseen with context, that's the case, okay? Under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company here. If we pivot down at the base of our skull but the top of our spine, where it meets together, that straightens our spine, and there you go, now you're standing straighter. And the point is, the ears can't be in the way of that lower jawbone. We've got a lot of things that can alter our ears in modern day, that we can place into or onto our ears, even just glasses placed on top of the ears, a hat placed on top of the ears. There's a lot of things going in ears in modern 2026, okay, technology-wise. Yikes, we don't discuss technology very much at all under In The Image Clothing Company, because it'll change before you know it, really, you know, and truth doesn't ever change. The truth is, there's only one way the human body could ever work, no matter what it is. We just can't use anything to alter it with. Okay, so the tongue's natural position, well, the tongue's neutral position is how we'll title it, but they're synonyms, okay? Natural and neutral. Also normal, okay? Synonyms. They mean the same thing is what that means, by the way. Okay, so yeah, the tongue's natural position, it's going to allow the jaw to tuck back. Okay, if the ears aren't in the way because they've been altered, and, you know, then we've got this natural curve in the spine, we've got the natural bend in the knee, we've got our bodies just hanging down with Earth's gravity's pull, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work, but we just can't alter it. And so the tongue, we need to keep it in our mouth. If we're eating things, don't touch your tongue to the utensils. Touch your tongue only to the food you eat that's on your utensils. Don't let me tell you what to do, but okay? The airplane noise, right? Yeah, okay. But let's say you've got food on a spoon, okay, or food on a fork. What you can do is put the food into your mouth on the spoon or the fork and use your lips to clean the food off the spoon or the fork. All right, because if you touch your tongue to it, you're reaching forward outside of your mouth with your tongue, and you change the position of your, watch this, of your whole head. The whole head position gets changed. If you have food on a spoon or a fork and you try to get your tongue out to it, You change the position of your whole head and bring your whole head forward, because the muscles on the rear part of the tongue connect back into, yeah, like the base of the skull area, you know? And so you're pulling all that forward. If you're pulling your tongue outside of your mouth farther than... Yikes, I don't like to do that. It's weird feeling. It's unnatural. That's literally weird feeling, no matter what anyone thinks about it. Like when they're looking at it, it's physically unnatural. It takes your body out of its natural positioning. Truly, it doesn't feel right, because it isn't. The tongue has to stay centered. Well, here you go. There's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company here titled "The Importance of Bringing Food to the Mouth." That's literally, yeah, a video that we filmed about a week ago, give or take. Dante and I here. Date marked, you'll find it if you do, if you can. It is what it is. I filmed it, is the point. That's what I'm saying is, that's what this video was about, that I'm referencing, is bringing food to your mouth. Keep your tongue in your mouth. This video is about the tongue specifically here, and we just need to keep our tongues in that neutral position. And the big point is the tongue determines posture. That's why we've got videos like this one here, but also these other ones under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. The importance of even nostrils, the importance of even eyebrows, the importance of the corners of the mouth, and the other ones I referenced about the ears and the jaw. Okay, I'll explain. Let me wait for the airplane noise. Dante, up. Good. Oh, so good. So good. Oh, yes. Oh, so good. Okay, Dante, down. Down. Good. Okay. It is what it is. Blunt, bold, raw, and real. It's about the information in the videos. Okay, and it's here. Here's the point. With all these things we discuss about the head of the human being, so clearly and intentionally under In The Image Clothing Company, and all of our videos that are titled things so clearly and intentionally under In The Image Clothing Company, so we can spiderweb you to information that we do, you know, link everything together is what I mean, that we're doing through video, you know, just that we do, we link things together so it all just works together. All four sides of In The Image Clothing Company combine into one company. Okay, this is the point with the face and the skull. Things like the ears, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the jaw, which is the mouth, and now in this case, for this video, the tongue, which is the mouth. Posture problems, if you will, things we could label as that, you know, bad posture, if you want to say that. It's a patterning. There's no possible opinion to it. You can measure these things. Measuring Truth is episode 200 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. You can measure the even opposing bends the body would have to have in its ankles, knees, hips, low back, mid back, and upper back to just stay vertical on Earth's gravity. There's no way you can possibly train posture. It's impossible. Okay? No opinion, no new information, nothing we could take credit for under In The Image Clothing Company, no breakthrough. It's just the truth of God's design. The only end is to allow God's design of the human being to work, or to let God's design of the dogs stay natural. That's why there are slogans, okay? Allowing the body to work here and In The Image Clothing Company's main side, or letting dogs stay natural and In The Image Clothing Company poodles. It's the only end. They just do what they do. They just got bones that are only the shape that they are, and the muscles are just connecting to them like the tongue, in this case, for this video. Okay, it only does what it does. There's only a neutral. It's the shape of the roof of the mouth. The tongue just has to mesh there, where it's going to sit in the roof of the mouth, right behind the upper teeth without touching them. But also it has to be able to come up enough, opposing Earth's gravity, to suction to the roof of the mouth. And that's determined by the shoulder's height, which is also the gripped arches in the feet and the pelvis position and everything traveling up through the spine, right? The whole body, truly. It all only works together. Patterning gets ingrained, if you will, or stuck into the face. Things like this. I'm squinting right now at the sun. You know, the importance of even eyebrows under In the Image Clothing Company. If my shoulders are at uneven heights, the importance of even height shoulders, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. My uneven height shoulders will pull on my jaw, and now as I squint, you know, the same skin on any part of the body is the same skin on all of the body, and me squinting my eyes because the sun's bright will be different from my left eye to my right eye if my left shoulder is higher than my right shoulder, and in this right-handed world, it would be. You know, it's just in a right-handed patterning. 85% give or take of human beings being right-handed. Clothing patterns to a degree are right-handed in their design, with things like rotated seams in modern day, especially with robots stitching our clothing in ways that never happened in the past. We've got rotated seams, you know. Clothing just goes down a conveyor belt and gets stitched one way on one side, it gets flipped around and stitched the same way on the other side, or a different way. Either way, it's just not neutral if it's rotating or if it's coming forward or coming back, you know, down the side seams of our clothing, like the side seams of my top here, or the side seams of our pants that just need to be right at the sides of our bodies and even with just Earth's vertical gravity pull, right? There's no opinion to this. We're clothing our bodies with something and it just has to fit on them the only way the body works. Okay, we have products that are just designed to be used with one hand usage, and it's almost always going to be designed in that case for the right hand, just because that's the vast majority of human beings. So we're just off to one side of our bodies with Earth's vertical gravity pull meshing with the center line of our bodies. Well, our bodies have to be centered. They just have to. There's no opinion to it. It's truth. There's no opinion to truth that could matter. So don't believe me. Maybe I'm just opinionated and I think I know what I'm doing. Well, then don't listen to me. Or the shadow behind me. Wow. Right. My shadow is, you can see my shadow doing the same movements that I'm doing because truth. That's what I'm saying. Don't believe me. Things are only what they are. The tongue has a natural position to it. Okay. A neutral position it sits in. Tags in clothing. This is what I'm saying. There's no stretch or sales pitch to like try to correlate this with selling clothing. No. This is the truth. Tags in clothing, for example, as one of the many things that are altering the body and will affect the tongue in a case like this. Well, in any case at all, but you know, for the sake of the discussion of this video, a tag in the rear of the collar of our top that's so common in modern 2026 and around this time period, it's just like placing a little leaf between your clothing and your body, like literally a leaf from a tree, right? I mean, it's very similar to just the shape and size of the tag material in the rear of our collar of our top, just so you can see how weird it is to have that there. But we just become accustomed to it. It just becomes a normal seeming thing to us, but it's damaging the body. It's just causing a physical gap there. It's deactivating musculature. It's changing the body's only working position where the bones connect and mesh. And so, you know, if we've got a tag in the rear of our top, I mean, this is a big thing when we discuss the natural curve in the spine, that video I referenced here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. A tag in the rear of our top's collar is just going to change our spine's curvature, and the tongue will move, because if the spine's curvature changes that connects up into the skull's position changes, and the jaw's connected to the skull, and the tongue's connected to the jaw, but the tongue's also connected down into the neck, which is in the area where the spine is. You know, I mean, it just is what it is. The body only does what it does. It's got to stay vertical over Earth's gravity. There's so many videos we have. So don't believe me. We just give context on things and speak on things so thoroughly there's no possible opinion or dispute to it. That's our goal in the way we explain things is, well, we don't have a claim, so let's just explain it thoroughly enough that you couldn't claim we have a claim. Yeah, okay. Yeah, oversized clothing pulling down on your shoulders, your tongue musculature, just like what I was saying in the video titled The Importance of a Strong Jaw here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, it just can't get up to the roof of the mouth, the tongue, because it's connecting down into the neck. And also it's connecting to the lower jawbone. The jaw is the shoulder. I know I said this already in this video, but I want to hit it hard just for the truth of this. It's not my opinion. Clothing is the fix. Well, the fix would be never putting clothing on the body, just to be clear. But it's just got to be very intentional. But we don't know what we don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know. But clothing has to fit, and you have to know how that is too. And so we discuss very clearly under In the Image Clothing Company where clothing sits for every body, as I say. Literal wording, every body. Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. You're just a human being, you know. Everybody has one. Everyone has a body. It's just what it is. It's the human being. It only does what it does. Unless you're extremely, like very small percentile unique. You know, that's your own individualistic situation. There's a universal human design. There's a neutral tongue position. So oversized clothing, or just the shoulder seams not sitting in a normal position. You know, we discussed this. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. There's no opinion to it. There's a whole bunch of explanation, though, you know, that we give under In the Image Clothing Company. One of the 3 bones of the shoulder, the scapulas, or the shoulder blades, those big bones on our upper backs, they sit behind the rib cage, only ever. And that's one of the 3 bones of the shoulder, you know, so that's 1/3 of the shoulder only ever being behind the rib cage. Musculature that vertically supports the shoulders connects up to the spine and then to the base of the rear of our skull, the upper trapezius, but also just the shoulders connect to the spine through the other trapezius and the rhomboids. And if we just hang our arms down at our sides, it starts with the shoulders behind the head, with Earth's gravity just pulling our arms straight down, and then we're neutral. And you have to start with your feet flat on the ground. You can't be in heels on your shoes, and your pant waistline can't be altering your hips, because that alters the curve in your knees and the curve in your spine. You know, the bend in your knees and the curve in your spine. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no possible opinion to it that could ever possibly matter. You're not going to reshape the bones of your body in an unnatural way. You know, we've got a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main site titled Reshaping Bones, only back to how they were after we've got things like bone spurs getting built up. You know, we just reshape the bones, just meaning breaking up that excess bone mass that's grown unnaturally. But you're never going to reshape the body naturally, you know, to something else besides normal. Do you see what I mean? You know, I mean, seen with context, that's what we give, is a lot of context. So the shoulders only work behind the head is the big point. And as they do, there's your tongue in its neutral position. If the shoulders come too far forward, anything like heels on shoes, just changing the entire body all the way up, pushing your shoulders forward, pushes your tongue forward, okay? And that's a lot of what I said with what yawning really is. You're trying to yawn your heels back onto the ground. It just changes the position of your jaw. If you put heels under your shoes, it changes the bends of your entire body. You're just in a constant state of pointing of your toes. Whatever height the heel under your shoe is, even if it's very slight, it changes those even mathematical opposing bends through your entire body to the tip of it, and it pushes your jaw forward, okay? And then it pushes your tongue out of your mouth. That's what I'm saying. And you can't seal your tongue against the roof of your mouth if it's touching your front teeth. There's just spaces between your teeth. The tongue needs to be in its neutral position. Okay, I was standing hunched over there on purpose, by the way, to show, because that's what I mean. Your tongue needs to be in its neutral position, because if you are hunched over, your tongue is just following everything else. Your spine's curvature and your jaw coming forward and your shoulders coming forward, it's all connected. And so you'll never, that's what I was saying earlier, train out of a tongue thrust if you have one, meaning, you know, where your tongue's coming forward. It's because of your shoulders and your spine and your hips and your knees, or just your excessively enlarged hands through patterning. I'm not joking about this stuff. It's not a stretch. It's not some way of approaching it. It's the only way the body could work, just all together. There's no opinion to this. That's why I'm giving this free information, because it's life-changing, and that's what we're here to do with the universal human design. You see what I mean? Ideally, because that's the reason I filmed this video, all right? I'm still filming it, but that's what I'm saying. The tongue is determined by the ears, the jaw, the shoulders, the spine, the hips, the feet, the hands, everything throughout, the entire body from extremity to extremity, all ends to all ends. The jaw stabilizing the entire body is doing it through its musculature, and one of the big muscles of the jaw is the tongue. I discuss the jaw like this. Well, this is just how it is, but I just explain it, right? As the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, I'm in this for life to do this, by the way, and this is the point, is it's never going to change. It's eternal information. This video will apply to my grandkids, great-great-grandkids, and so forth. Everyone. Every who? Well, everybody. Yeah, literal wording. the tongue, what was I saying? It was huge. It's just got to stay in the center of the body. I was talking about something though. Anyway, oh yeah, speaking is what the jaw does. It also eats, okay, the jaw of the human being. Stabilizing the entire body is a role the jaw of the human being plays. And also breathing is something the jaw really plays into big time. Okay, so the jaw is eating, speaking, breathing, stabilization of the entire body, and whatever other roles we could say it plays into as well in the body functioning, and the tongue is part of it. The tongue is connected to the jaw in multiple different places. The tongue is stabilizing the jaw, and yeah, the tongue by itself, I mean, even if we didn't move our lower jawbone and we were trying to speak with just our tongue, you know, you see what I mean? Just how big of a role the tongue plays in at least these 4 things, you know, that I just listed off. And just the whole body, you know, well, because stabilizing the entire body is playing a role in the whole body, you know. Certainly, yeah. And the tongue, it just has that neutral position. So, just to recap where it is, because that's the point of the video, really, is to explain where the neutral position is. And also a lot of reasons, you know, that it's not there if it isn't, and how to get it there, like I have. My tongue was very, very imbalanced. You know, my jaw was very, very imbalanced, and my whole body, you know. Just as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, that's what I'm saying, is I'm speaking out of personal experience, and I really thoroughly know what I'm talking about if I'm speaking on things. Just about always, you know. Otherwise, I try not to say anything. Just to be clear. Yeah, that's cool. Just to be clear, that's how I do it, but also I try not to say anything that I don't know, just so I can be clear. Wow, there you go. That's what I mean. I explain things thoroughly, okay? I'm really good at it. It's a gift I've been given from God, you know, being able to speak and explain things well. It just is what it is. That's why we've got In The Image Clothing Company music. Another one of our fourths is In The Image Clothing Company music. We do a lot with showing the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter things like the neutral wrist in the hand, right? Straight out from the outside of that forearm, down and out the pinky finger. That's the neutral to the wrist. But then also the rounding in our hands that correlates with the arches in our feet. You know, we need to not alter the round hands with our different length fingers wrapping evenly around the thumbs that are different lengths from the fingers as well. There's only one way the human body could ever work. We've got to realize things like this. Our different length toes, our different length fingers, and the thumb that's opposable, you know? There's only one way the human body could ever work. I mean, even just like the rounding in the hands. Well, just in daily life, we discuss fingernails and toenails. They need to be fully to the tips of the fingers and toes to back and support them. That's why God gave them to us. Just don't cut them too short. We cut the fingernails and toenails relatively flat on the tips, so we stay in this neutral position of the wrist and the ankle, the gripped arches in the feet, and the rounding to the hands, okay? Yeah, bro, holy cow. What were we saying about music? Well, we do rhythm and poetry, spoken word, lyricism, guitar playing, singing, just music making geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ on In The Image Clothing Company music, and there you go, okay? What I'm saying with the tongue is, well, I can articulate my words well. A lot of that's just personally, I'm good at speaking, okay? It's a gift from God is why I'm saying it, no joke. I couldn't take credit for it in the ways that I couldn't in my own situation personally. But also, yeah, I mean, you have to be able to have your tongue mesh against the roof of your mouth properly to articulate your words well, meaning to have that crisp sounding speaking when you speak. And you know, you've got to have a centered jaw for that to happen, which means your clothing has to fit. Otherwise, oversized clothing is just going to fall to your dominant side. In this right-handed world, it'll probably be your right side, but if it's your left side, then cool. If you're left-handed, you know, yeah. And then it'll pull on your jaw, and then your tongue musculature in between your lower jawbone, right in the middle of it, will be imbalanced. And so you just won't be able to speak crisp and clear. Not easily, at least. You'll be really struggling to like try to get your mouth to pull your shoulder into place, right? Or your right foot from your jaw and your tongue. I'm not joking. This is how it happens. The body's just what it is. That's why I'm filming this video. Okay. So seriously, the tongue has to be centered. in the mouth. So we just don't touch the rear of the upper teeth with the tongue naturally in its resting state. It just nicely meshes against the roof of our mouth. And yeah, well, there you go. And then it has to just come high enough to suction against the roof of the mouth. And so things like shoulder seams on clothing, you know, shoelaces on our shoes, pant waistlines, and we discuss where clothing sits very clearly, as I said, under In the Image Clothing Company. If I do in this video, then I do. But there you go. That's the natural position for the tongue. So when you're drinking things, don't put your tongue out and touch the vessel of whatever you're holding liquid with to drink. Keep it in your mouth and just use your lips to put on the vessel. And keep your body neutral. And that's what I'm saying with that sound, is that's how you can tell if your tongue's in a neutral position, is you can make that sound. That sound is literally my tongue having a suction against the roof of the mouth, of my own personal mouth in this case, what you're hearing. And then as it releases that suction, that's the sound you're hearing. That's the way you can tell if your tongue's in a neutral position. It should make that sound. But not like, you know, you're just standing in life and your body's all out of its normal position and you're like, all right, let's see if my tongue's neutral. And you like change your whole body's position to make your tongue neutral. And then you're like, oh, it must be good. And then go back to bad position. It's like if you're just in daily life doing your thing, and as you're doing it, your tongue can just make that sound. That means you have a neutral spine, a neutral jaw, a neutral head position, and a neutral tongue. It's stemming from your feet, it's coming from your hands, through your whole body, okay? It's just what it is. So that's the neutral position for the tongue, okay? So yeah, don't touch your tongue to other things that you're putting into your mouth, utensils, vessels of things, you know, when you're eating food. Try to really just never have your tongue be coming forward and touching the rear of your teeth. And there's things like this, you know, sleeping with no pillow. We just discussed, I mean, if you want to stand vertical in daily life with your spine neutral, you can't sleep 8 hours a night, give or take, or however long it is, with something behind your head, pushing your head forward, and then wake up and try to stand straight up again in daily life. You'll spend most of your day just trying to straighten your body back out because you spent your entire night pushing your body out of its only neutral position. But if your clothing's not fitting your body correct, you're going to feel like you want to sleep with a pillow because there's just going to be an excessive curve in your spine already if your clothing's altering your body. Just being the only thing physically placed on your body, there's no sales pitch, it's just the truth. Okay, the 9th of March, 2026, in the Image Clothing Company's main side, the natural tongue position. Let's say neutral though, the neutral tongue position. So yeah, you sleep with no pillow and now your body's in a neutral position. And as you're sleeping, you should be able to have that same thing happening. Your teeth should be slightly parted so your jaw can just have its natural motion. You know, the jaw will stiffen up. If the teeth are hitting into each other, there's no motion in the jaw. There's no motion in the jaw if it's a teeth on teeth contact. Or if the tongue's always against the teeth, too far forward or too far to one side or the other. A lot of times, you know, you'll have people with their tongue resting against the right side of their teeth, on the inside of their teeth, because, you know, being in a right-handed patterning, we're just off to the right side of our bodies, and the tongue's just being pulled off as well. The tongue's in the center of the body. It's not one of the things I mentioned when I discussed the center line of the human being, but anything that's in the center line of the human being is. I just reference the things that I do to just show, yeah, there's no opinion to it. Things like a movable bone, you know, in the center of the body that could never change. The tongue's one of those things. It's connected inside of the lower jawbone. It has to be in the center. The tongue, to be able to suction to the roof of the mouth. So there you go, okay? Sleeping, don't sleep with a pillow. While you're asleep, your tongue should be neutral. While you're standing, your tongue should be neutral. While you're sitting, your tongue should be neutral in all aspects of your life. It's not something you could try to train at certain parts of your life or in certain positions. Your body's always just what it is. Your body only has one position, really. It's the neutral, you know, in every aspect of the entire body, as we've gone over with the tongue in this video. So So there you go, okay? Poodle parade events, if you want, you know, Dante and I will move down to St. George, Utah within about a month and a half, give or take, from today's date, the 9th of March, 2026. We'll set up base camp for life, as I say. You know, that's where we'll be based, as in the Image Clothing Company, forever, once we move down there, you know. Dante and I personally, me, Evan Strong, being the founder of the Image Clothing Company is the point. And, you know, yes, St. George, Utah, it's a true desert. It's beautiful. We do a lot in nature. We live up Utah, as in the Image Clothing Company, the state of Utah here in the United States of America. We're only about 3.5 hours north of St. George, Utah, here in Utah County currently. But, yeah, bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, here to the state of Utah, wherever we go with our events. But our location focus is here, certainly, the state of Utah, for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of beautiful, diverse nature. So we'll bring our dogs, right? Get our poodles into nature and human beings into nature. And we'll do things for the environment where we do, like clean the creek or rid the rubbish, subcategories of poodle parade events to actually pick up trash, you know, for the planet Earth, man. Seriously, yeah. It'll be awesome. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's great. It's going to be super cool. A lot of things we'll be able to do that we aren't really doing yet, you know, but once we move down to St. George, Utah, you know, because then our team can build, because the people that will be part of our team will live close by, you know, and it'll just be a lot, you know, more opportunity for us to do the things we've been announcing once we move down to where we're going to be based, if that can be seen, of why I'm saying it the way that I am so many times, you know, to give context, because what we do here applies to you, you know, everybody has one, so there's only one way it could ever work. Let's talk about where clothing sits, if I get through it before, you know, I don't. It's like I'm about to be decapitated by the shadow creeping up on my head. Yeah, that's a big point. You know, storage space and the device and battery percentage, you know, that's one thing too. But, well, that's three things, really, that could be happening. Anyway, pants sit above our hips, okay? The natural waist. Videos like keeping elbows at the natural waist. It's just a huge focus in life, but also the elbow has to sit at the natural waist. It's just where we bend side to side at our hips. No, it's where we bend side to side, above the hip bones and below those lowest ribs. There's no bones there until we get to the center line of the body at the spine. And that's how we actually bend side to side. The elbow sits at the natural waist because it's just a joint of three bones, the radius and ulna in the forearm meeting the upper arm bone called the humerus. And yeah, there's just no bones there for the elbow joint to hit into at the natural waist. And then we've got a neutral shoulder with the elbow at the neutral position. It's just the same thing. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Okay. Slightly higher in the front than in the rear is how our pant waistline ideally sits, because, well, ideally, we just keep our pant waistline exactly horizontal on Earth's surface, because the bottom of the feet, which they're neutral from dorsiflexion or plantar flexion, lifting or pointing of the toes, is just the surface of the Earth. We travel straight up from there to the hips. It's the same neutral. From posteriorly tucking underneath us to anteriorly rotating away from us in the direction the hips already bend. I was saying this earlier, but that neutral for the hips is the same as the bottom of the feet. It's the surface of the planet Earth, or the term zero drop in any brand of shoe. So there you go, you know, clothing, yep, it'll damage your body. Top of the feet too, though, in the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique, has to be had with zero drop shoes, or your body's damaged from the feet up and your tongue won't sit normal. Truly, that's the point, you know, within the Image Clothing Company, is giving truth on how the body works. And no matter how crazy it sounds, there's only one way it ever could. It's nothing to do with me, but it's truth. It'll never change. The body or truth, either one of them, they're the same thing, you know. God designed us in his image, and God is the truth, and so there you go, you know. I just pound some things into people through these videos. I get it, but it's just what it is. It'll never change. The tongue's natural position, okay? The neutral position of the tongue. Top seams. On top of our shoulders, they need to sit evenly right behind the peak of our shoulders. The peak of our shoulders is just the other end of this collarbone or clavicle from the center line of our bodies. So our top seams need to just sit evenly right behind that bone, because our shoulders will follow shoulder seams, and the shoulders only ever work behind the head. And so, yeah, that's just how the body works. We've just got different lengths to things. There's only one way the human body could ever work. I don't have an opinion on it that could matter, so don't believe me. Man, who am I mocking? I don't know exactly. the edge seams of our tops just need to be as close as we can get right to the edges of our shoulders, because like I was saying, we've got joints of material and joints of body parts. These three bones that become the shoulder, it's a joint. And then we've got material of clothing joining material of clothing, okay? Like the torso material meeting or joining the sleeve material. It's very beneficial, it's needed, necessary to have edge seams on tops. Some designs you can get that don't have edge seams, you know, it's just like a material over the shoulder. We need edge seams on our tops, you know, just for the body, because there's a joint of body parts there. Anyway, that's baseline where clothing sits, you know, keeping short sleeves short, the importance of even short sleeves, and then, you know, sleeve cuffs off the wrists, pant cuffs off the ankles, and short cuffs off the knees, you know, and things like this. And then we give a lot of free modifications. I mentioned some under In The Image Clothing Company to not alter the body, but we've also just got a lot of things that are imbalanced or discrepant where they are in clothing, besides the things that we talk about really often. You know, there's some things that we've got videos about that we just don't mention all that much, you know, that are important for you to know. You know, I mean, modifying things in ways, zippers, pockets, buttons, things like this, man. You know, shoelaces and drawstrings are huge, but we discussed that, you know, under In The Image Clothing Company, how to keep these things just working the only way the body does. There's no opinion to it, okay? So there you go, In The Image Clothing Company, that's what I'll say. The natural tongue position, okay? Snug collars, well-fitting tops, pant waistlines in proper positions, even things like side seams, you know, they can get in the way of just the arms naturally hanging at the sides. We've got a lot of videos under In The Image Clothing Company that I could mention and reference, but that's what we need for now as far as context. I mean, that's all you would really ever need to know, you know, what you need to know about your natural tongue position. Well, things like dental work, you know, sure, you've got orthodontia, you know, like braces, or just, you know, cavity fillings or things like this, work done on your teeth. That can alter how your tongue just sits inside of your teeth bed in your mouth, you know, and I've dealt with this myself. There's a video under the main side of, not under the main side, but there's a episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Root Canal Story. You know, I had a poorly finished root canal on my front left tooth, and it altered the position of my jaw for about 13, 14 years. I was about 13 years old when I got it done, and I'm 26 now, you know, give or take. So, yeah, I mean, my jaw, personally, you know, just speaking out of experience is the point. I've had to do a lot to get my jaw centered because of dental work is a lot of reason, but then also, you know, you go into the dentist with an imbalanced clothing, and you're sitting there in a dentist chair, and they're working on your teeth with your jaw off to the side because your shoulders are imbalanced from an oversized top, or an imbalanced top, or a top with a seam in the collar that's not sitting evenly around your neck, or just too big of a collar that's not snugly sitting around your neck, and you pull your jaw off to the side. Then they finish your dental work with the, you know, an imbalance in your teeth, and then now your tongue is just not going to sit centered between your teeth, you know, inside of your teeth bed, because your teeth bed now have been altered by dental work, which is a man-made process, and it's great, you know, for the health of teeth and just for the health of the body, but mechanically there's still only one way the body could ever work, and so if we alter the way that the teeth mesh by really just not allowing them to mesh anymore, but also just, you know, just changing the bite position through things like orthodontia, your natural tongue position is just going to change. But it can't. You can change the teeth's position, but it doesn't really, you know, at least not naturally, you know, you can't do that. I mean, we do it, but it's not natural. You change the, yeah, you can't do that. The teeth only mesh into the lower jawbone the way they do. The teeth only mesh up into the skull, which we could say is kind of the upper jawbone. It's just the skull of the human being, just like the roof of the mouth is just the skull of the human being. The teeth only go into there the way they do. And so through orthodontia, I mean, you're altering structure of the body. I mean, you're altering bone to the degree that you are. And the body just has to naturally stabilize through the jaw at its natural position, you know, and the tongue just only has a neutral position inside of the jaw. So this is what I mean. A lot of times our good intentions are actually damaging us I had braces as well too, just for context, because I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Now you know I had braces, you know, orthodontia, and a lot of dental work, and I did a lot of these things within oversized clothing. You know, shoelaces to the right side instead of evenly tying my shoes, drawstrings around my waist with a right-handed knot, you know, and just all the things like this, imbalances in clothing. You go into the dentist within imbalanced clothing, and you just damage your body. Big time. Okay, so like I said, that's really what we do, is get out of chronic patterning, scar tissue, bone spurs in the body. Here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, that's actually what we really do here in this right-handed world, and with so many clothing imbalances. And then just, you know, the modern man-made world by itself, there's just so much that alters our bodies if it does, where it does, if we don't know how to be intentional to not have that be the case. So the neutral tongue position, listen for the sound, and that's how you'll know. So there you go. Okay, more context I could give, but that's what we need for now. Thank you.